as you say. However, for Arsenal, it was so nearly extremely nervy for them because they went down to 10 men in that game. And I think if you cut a montage of all the commentators who were working on that game around the world, the tone of surprise in their voice when that was given as a red card sort of tells its own story there, although PGMOL have said that they support the decision.
Of course they will. You know what I mean? We're talking about an organisation who, for me, it's a dangerous mix. You know what I was going to say, Kels, with this? When that happened, Kels, I said, that's a good yellow to take, you know what I mean? Because when you look at it, he's gone in sideways. It's cynical, right? It's cynical. He's gone in sideways, and yes, his boot has caught that. That for me is a yellow card. I couldn't understand it. Like you said, in unison, all the commentators around the world went, "What? Oh, he's been sent off." People thought that he got a yellow before. Right now, if he got a yellow before, you probably wouldn't be able to argue. But for that to be a red card is absolutely ludicrous.
And it's definitely worth talking about. Before we do that, though, it's also worth reflecting on what PGMOL have said, because Michael Oliver has been subject to some really awful online abuse, and PGMOL have spoken out in support of that, saying they're appalled by the threats and abuse. No official should be subject to any form of abuse, let alone the abhorrent attacks aimed at Michael and his family over the past 24 hours. They've put the police in touch with that. They are investigating it. Of course, the support for Michael Oliver. And as they say, sadly, it's not the first time a match official has been forced to deal with threats in recent times. This is not about a personal attack on Michael Oliver, but and we would unilaterally condemn any kind of abuse, let alone the kind of abuse that him and his family have been getting for that. But that doesn't mean that we can't look at the decision.
Thank you, and that's where it's come from. What we've seen here is a referee that's made the kind of mistake that people have gone, no, especially with Arsenal. Arsenal fans have got every on our games. There's 8 sending-offs that Arsenal have had, and a couple of them you have to think to yourself, probably will never see those sending-offs again.
You can't talk about conspiracy.
You can't go down that route about
No. Let me finish. The fact is, why can't you go down that route? It's their facts for everyone to see.
On that
you know what? He's had 47 games to see. He's not sent off one player.
How many of those Arsenal red cards were red cards?
Yeah, but the thing is that.
But that's relevant because you can look at the Lewis.
I don't think
Lewis Skelly and you can say right, fine.
I think you go back to Martinelli against Wolves. He got booked in the same incident.
But again, that was the two yellows, was it?
You look at Declan Rice's one. You look at Saliba's one.
But they were all by the letter of the law, correct?
What I'll say about this game, though, is when you look specifically at this game, because that point there is a point that I think a lot of Arsenal fan base will really home into. But if you look at the game itself, you look at the Gomez decision, you look at the Lewis Skelly decision, and it's like even in the same game, we're not having any parity in anything that's going on. And I think that is the major issue. And we can talk about, the technology that's been brought in. There is an issue with officiating. And I think it's been brewing for so long now that there's just this real resentment towards everything that happens. We've seen...
Do you think there's less understanding because there is the assistance of VAR now? Do you think that we're less likely to say, do you know what, the ref either hasn't seen it or hasn't seen it properly, or he's missed it, or he's made a...
But this is the...
So now,
so a wise man once said that
gone.
VAR is like CCTV. It's like, it's black and white, it just tells you what happened. So then when you go to it and you see it and it's like, well, why is this the decision? And then it becomes, it's the letter of the law. And I think that phrasing and how it's utilised, and I think it rounds people up the wrong way. We've seen that sort of challenge happen in the Premier League since its inception. We know what a tactical foul is.
Cynical tactical foul.
We see loads of tactical fouls not receive yellow cards. We definitely don't see them get red cards, especially if you're not in a yellow. So I think it's very confusing for people. And I think in many ways, we're very fortunate that Arsenal did get the result, because if they didn't, the ramifications for the league, this conversation would have...
The only thing I would say in Michael Oliver's support is we are all human. He's a human being. He makes mistakes. But the VAR, as you rightly says, it's black and white, sees it and goes, Michael, just hang on a second. You might want to take another look at it. It's such a big moment. It's the first half. Arsenal are away from home. This is a key moment of the game. Just take yourself 30 seconds across to the screen, and if you're still happy with the decision, if you still think it's a red, then he goes off. So I think VAR should step up to the plate on Saturday. They didn't.
They have to believe that it's a big enough incident, that
the other thing, Kelly,
is a big enough mistake to send them.
Because Michael Oliver's regarded, and Righty might disagree, as one of the best referees in the Premier League. The guy in VAR, I'm not sure who was in VAR the weekend.
Darren England.
Darren England might be like, well, I can't tell Michael Oliver he's got that wrong.
Well, then they've got the wrong people
But
in
then
the job.
he should be strong enough to say, you know, just have a quick look.
And we don't know that was the case. But I think, do any of the three of you think that was a red card?
No.
It's not.
No, it wasn't. It was a yellow card. And when he done it, Kels, as he done it, I said, good yellow, take one for the team.
Yeah.
So when he went off again, I said, it's not gonna make any difference because there will be no accountability for it. They'll twist it with the words that they use, the PGMOL, and say, well, it's the letter of the law, and then you have to take it again. But when it happens, as often as it happens with Arsenal and the fans, you can understand, of course they're going to feel aggrieved by it. They're going to feel like, why is it always us, and why are we still getting this guy on our games?
But every set of fans, if you go online and look on any forum, on any platform, any social media platform, every set of fans thinks it's just us. We are worse hit by decisions than any other team in the Premier League.
Let me check this one.
Yeah, who's the ref?
It's got a time code on it.
And they've all got one or two refs that they absolutely hate them.
Don't want him.
Yeah.
But we know that the thing is the accountability, Kels. Like even with me, I'm just critiquing that decision. I cannot understand how he sent him off for that.
I understand the accountability, but I think for me, what probably is worse for fans or just anyone is how the letter of law justification is then used to support it. So if in this situation, it's the studs above the ankle. If you say that out of context, of course you're going to say, well, if your stud's above the ankle,
he's probably done him, yeah.
But if you look at the context of what football is, and I think that's why it's so dangerous, we're watching football, it's not, you have to look at what you're watching, and that's why the VAR has to step in and say, well, listen, like you said, it's the first half, look at the game, look what happened, you shouldn't really give a red card for that.
And that's not quite what the conversation was between the referee and the video assistant referee on the day either. So that wasn't something that was discussed at the time.
I think it's worrying that all three of them came to that conclusion for that particular foul when you can watch it back. I know what you said as well when we was talking, Shay, to slow it down. Maybe they shouldn't slow it down so much because, you know, it looks even worse. But when you slow that down, it doesn't look like, he's trying to do him to stop him. He's trying to trip him up. You know, I mean, that's a yellow card. Someone should have said to have a look at it. And I can't believe that ended up a red. I cannot believe it.
But as you said, it helps a little bit that Arsenal managed to go on and take all 3 points anyway in the game with Ricardo Calafiori's goal.
Well, yeah, it was a very good goal and a goal that was needed because if I'm going to be totally honest, Kels, with everything that's gone on, I'm quite pleased that Arsenal won because what we're seeing obviously is unacceptable. But if Arsenal lose that game, gosh, I can't even imagine what it would be like, the discourse, because, you know, I think that they are so against this referee that honestly, it's crazy now.
I think
but it's important when you're in a position of authority and you're listened to by Arsenal fans, and your opinion carries a lot of weight with them. That this doesn't become a personal vendetta, because
I'm
then that leads
him,
to.
And I'm critiquing him on the facts what I've got on him.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is that when it then leads to the abuse.
No, the fans can see it as well. But I'm not going to sit here, Kels, and not recognise certain things that feel a little bit. Well, that is really harsh. I'm still an Arsenal fan as well, but I'm on here and I know what you're saying. I've got a responsibility. I'm just critiquing the man's decision.
What I would say to this though is, I think we've come to a point, especially within the Premier League, where there needs to be some sort of review of what's going on, because I don't think a match weekend happens where we're not talking about contentious decisions. I mean, we saw in another game where a player's booked off for eliciting from the fans within the celebration that we've seen constantly done before. Something is going wrong, and referees hold such a key and pivotal part to our sport. They should be respected, they should be protected. But we need to understand what is happening, because clearly something isn't right at the moment. I don't think there's a time where I come on the show and we don't speak about refereeing decision. So something needs to be addressed there.
Yeah, and there's a difference between looking at something like this, which genuinely has everybody slightly baffled. I would say the vast majority of people have been kind of quite baffled by this decision, and coming on and talking about disagreements in terms of the interpretation of the rules, which are the laws, which is a more natural football conversation. I think that there's a slight difference in all of that. But as you said, Arsenal down to 10 men, and Wolves later on down to 10 men as well when Gomez was sent off. Arsenal managed to take all 3 points. And as you said, Arsenal feeling like they're a bit up against it as well in terms of injuries and players that aren't available. The other team who are really suffering, well, one of the other teams who are suffering really badly from injuries is Bournemouth, who've got 11 players out injured. Well, Liverpool 6 points clear of Arsenal with a game in hand. Nottingham Forest have slipped back. They're now on 44 points. Manchester City into the top 4 on 41 points. They go above Newcastle on goal difference. Chelsea now in 6th place, level on points with Bournemouth, who've been on an incredible run of form, unbeaten in 11. Maya McQuadri and Shay Given are here in the studio to talk to us about all of this weekend's action. First question, we'll come to the whole game in a second, but how's the blood pressure at this moment?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel all right now, yeah. You know, just listening to all the discourse over the weekend, but I'm fine now. Obviously a win does calm you down a bit, but it was a
scrappy win.
It was a scrappy win, a win that they needed, but I thought it was a good performance simply because of what they came up against. Went down to 10 men and still got the job done. Mentally, a good performance from Arsenal, so I was happy.
Where do you think it leaves the title race then after this weekend? Because Liverpool get the comfortable win at home to Ipswich, which I think was fairly expected, and then Arsenal get that battling win against Wolves, where they will come out with a sense of injustice, but all 3 points.
Yeah, but the thing is that you have to do that because Liverpool are in such control. They're playing so well that you've seen it. Even when it's not going well, they'll take someone off the bench and they get it done. At the moment, obviously, Arsenal can't do that, but Arsenal, the only thing they can do is make sure that they stay in it and, if not winning the game, at least get a point, not lose the game. So I think, again, Liverpool are in prime position, and I think it's theirs to lose now.
Let's start by focusing then on the league leaders. It was a 4-1 win against Ipswich. No big surprises really in the game itself, but just that sense of a very comfortable performance.
Yeah, that's the problem with Arsenal chasing and a few other clubs you could argue are chasing as well, is Liverpool don't look like they're going to slip up. I mean, Brentford last week was a bit like into the 90th minute, they've dropped 2 points. Arsenal play later, they could close the gap to 2, I think it was that night, but Nunes comes off the bench, as rightly said. He's used his squad brilliantly, Arne Slot, this season, and everything he seems to do, he gets it right. So they're going to be very difficult. I can't see them losing 3 games between now and the end of the season, but I just hope that Arsenal keep pushing and putting the pressure on them to make a brilliant title race. Yeah,
the one thing that is massively in Arsenal's favour is that they do have that game coming up against Arsenal, where it's kind of in their hands to try and turn the momentum in the title race, and that could be absolutely crucial. But in terms of Liverpool's performance yesterday, did we see the kind of full array of the attacking options that they have, the different styles of attacker that they have in the side?
I think that was the key thing. There's been so much said about Salah's utilisation and how much of the goal contribution he's been carrying. But you see Gakpo getting the goal sheet, you see Szoboszlai getting the goal, and he's been epitomised by his engine this year. You're starting to see that goals can come from anywhere with Liverpool, and it's at this point in the season where they want to be. And if you look at Arsenal with the injuries, it's completely different. You're missing your Saka, Jesus, we're probably not going to see him for a long time. A lot of attention has been on Kai Havertz. So they're in totally 2 different places, but you just hope for Arsenal's sake that maybe Liverpool face some adversity, because they had the same thing last season, right? Everything was going smooth sailing, and then they had injuries. So as you said, rightly, you just got to hold in.
You just got to hold in. But that's the difference. Last season, this time, I think Mo Salah had to go. I think Endo went. I think Szoboszlai was injured. Robertson was injured.
The Africa Cup of Nations.
Yeah. I think Trent was injured. So, and this season, everybody's fit and everybody's...
And you guys have got injuries.
Exactly, and we have
and
got
the injuries that they have had, so Alisson missed nearly half the season.
Perfect amount of time for him to come back.
Yeah, but then has come back in the latter stages.
They look very good.
I think what I would say, and it's probably just an easy argument, is the centre forward. Maybe that's your position at Arsenal. There's games this season where Arsenal have dropped points, and I think they had a more like Ian Wrights sort of person, and clinical striker in front of the goal. I think the gap wouldn't be as big as it is. And even now with the like of Jesus and Saka missing, it seems like even Arteta's sort of hinting that we might try and get someone. I think that'd be a big help if they did.
Yeah, but we needed somebody even when everybody was fit.
Yeah.
You know, the thing I was just with Liverpool, what they've really addressed from last season is the conceding of that early goal. And then the game's a little bit too open because they've got to go and try and get... There's so much more in control now that you don't feel like they have to go and chase that goal or chase that game because they conceded so many early goals. They're in so much more control. The midfield's fantastic. And then, like we said up front, everybody, the goals are everywhere. Gakpo's very impressive. You know, Mo Salah will, like he mentioned, I saw him in an interview talking about, I may not play great in all the game, but I will have a moment.
Yeah, but this
Beautiful.
is the thing. So he's being, the phrase I keep hearing around Mohamed Salah at the moment is a moments player. And it's almost slightly disparaging, and yet surely that's what you need in a team. If everybody else is functioning for the full 90 minutes, you can have a moment's play.
Absolutely, and the thing is, I think what Mo was trying to say in that interview is like, listen, I know I don't play well for the whole 90 minutes, but like there's moments where I know I can recognise I can do something in this time, and that is all you want as a forward, especially. Somebody, because people constantly talking about Haaland's lack of touches, or when it was Lukaku, or Mo Salah's nowhere near this game. Then Mo Salah scores the winner and everyone says, Mo's amazing. Because the good players, the top players recognise, okay, it's not going well for me, but I'm going to stay in the moment for when the moment comes. And that's what Mo's doing this season.
I just find it interesting in the course of where he is in terms of the contract negotiations, which obviously we're coming towards the end of January, and that's going to be a significant milestone in that. But when they're looking at him, and it happened with the very best. It happened with Messi, where he became more and more a moments player and less a 90 minutes player as his career went on. And I wonder if the hierarchy are looking at that and thinking, if those patches between the moments get longer, is that going to be an issue in the long term?
That's why they're not. That's why the deal's not going through?
I'm just looking at just because that's where the conversation is around Mohamed Salah.
Just really make a phone call or something and ask what's happening.
I don't think anybody.
If Liverpool are like deliberating over the fact, but he's having moments. He's getting to that stage of his life. He's that age. Maybe the moments. Should we take a chance? I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a chance because what's going to happen, Kels, is that Liverpool, who are in a progressive mode, they're in the ascendancy, they're going to bring better players in as well. And even if he's there, he will still have moments. It's the kind of money that I would spend.
I find it really interesting because we're speaking about the title race, 6 points clear, game in hand, 10 goals on Arsenal in terms of goal difference after this win. With his numbers this season, it's working.
Yeah.
And I think what I have to give Slot credit for is you've got a situation where 3 of your major players are having contract disputes.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
Beginning of January, the Trent conversation got very sour with the Madrid links. He looks like he's settled again. Van Dijk, we've not heard anything of. The Mo Salah stuff, it plays out. But he's managed to have Rock keep the ship very, very steady.
Yeah.
And they're in a really good position now. Like you said, I don't see them losing 3 games. If they do get injuries, the whole quartet of players come. I've seen Harvey Elliott spawn out of nowhere and play well as well. So they're in a really good position. And I think for Arsenal, you just have to keep close enough because you never know what happens in the Premier League. Right?
And the other thing to point out about Salah is that he's just to come back to that point is that he's gone above Thierry Henry now in terms of all-time Premier League goal scorers, and he's established.
Sometimes he doesn't get the credit, Kelly, I think, as well.
Do you think?
I think recently someone mentioned, like even last year for the Ballon d'Or, for example, he wasn't even in the conversation. And the numbers every single year, his assists, his goals, and even we just showed the goal from the weekend. There's a defender sliding and the keeper's on an angle. If you pause it at that second when he hits it, like there's not very much to hit at all. And he makes it look so easy. And he's got the knack of scoring goals. But he's been an all-time, even when he leaves Liverpool in the summer or he leaves in a couple of years, he'll go down as a great Premier League, one of the greats for sure.
He's just got a midfielder to jump over. Then he's up there with the rest of the strikers. But look, it's left Liverpool in a really good position, as you say. However, for Arsenal, it was so nearly extremely nervy.